Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Charlemagne the God presumably has the same writers Desus Mero had on The Daily Show last week, but Charlemagne getting much better jokes. The topic is Ron DeSantis wearing some sort of lifts in his boots. Charlemagne said, "We need a short president anyway. People always talk about Napoleon complexes. Well, that guy ruled the entire continent. Abraham Lincoln was tall and he got shot in the head, so you tell me who's more successful." Charlemagne again, "At least now I know why DeSantis is in that huge fight with Disney. It's not because of wokeness. It's because you got to be this tall to ride the magic teacups. That's good." Kimmel, "One of the most important qualities we consider when considering a leader is that person's height. That's why I've been pushing for President Kareem for many, many years. But Jimmy Kimmel for the win. It does seem that Ron DeSantis may be wearing heels. I'll tell you what, throw in a tube of lipstick and suddenly it's illegal to teach kids in Florida schools about their own governor." I noticed Sam Morill tweeted, "I'm at MSG Theater this Saturday in NYC. Not a lot of tickets left. New hour of jokes. See you there." And I went, somebody's probably panicking about ticket sales. I mean, not a lot of tickets left. What does that mean? So I clicked on it and I shared it in the Facebook group, which is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Please join us. And I'll remind you, this is the MSG Theater. This is not the basketball arena. Plenty of seats available in the upper deck. Not sure what's going on there because Sam is a fantastic comic. Also, not really selling a lot of tickets, surprisingly. Jerry Seinfeld and Jim Gaffigan, right? You'd think that would be a good bill. But in that same Facebook post on the Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, I shared their ticket sales. And yeah, you can get in for $50 in the upper deck pretty easily. I got suspicious about all this when I saw Gaffigan and Seinfeld doing press together. They were asked the favorite part of each other's comedy. Jerry said, "Not only do we have material that we like to talk about, but we talk about where we work and how we work and how it feels. Comedians are a very gabby bunch. That's how we got into the profession. All we want to do is talk. When you have an approach and take the craft seriously, those are the best comedians," and that's Jim. Jim said, "There's so many things that Jerry has done that are impressive, but I'm most impressed with his work ethic. Comedy, more than anything in the entertainment industry, is ever-changing. It's very rare for someone to be performing at such a high caliber of quality through different decades." Jerry said, "I'm speechless." Jim said, "I'm reading this off the press release." Here's the big question. You're performing 2 nights at the Chase Center. You got to fill 20,000 seats a night. Give us your best sales pitch for those on the fence. Jerry said, "I would continue to consider it. Give it a lot of thought. Don't be impulsive. That's what I would advise. If you're thinking about it, keep thinking." On Gossip Corner, The Sun noticed that Seinfeld star Michael Richards was spotted at a rare public outing with his family 17 years after the incident at the comedy club where Michael Richards fell from grace. Michael and his family stopped by a local park and In-N-Out Burger. No word on what they ordered. An eyewitness noticed the family picked up their meal in a Porsche and ate In-N-Out Burger in their car. Kotaku has been paying attention to Nothing Forever. Remember the AI Seinfeld thing? It's been running nonstop since last December. Apparently, it almost broke last week, and they've now made some tweaks. Nothing Forever originally focused on Larry Feinberg and some side characters that were reminiscent of the Seinfeld sitcom, rendered in PlayStation 1-style graphics. The apartment they walked around kind of resembled the Seinfeld apartment, and Larry Feinberg would even perform a stand-up set sometimes. Then the AI-generated Larry did a transphobic joke because it's a comedian, I guess, and you have to? I don't know. That led to a temporary ban from Twitch. 14 days later, the series resumed but had a new cast of characters. Larry Feinberg was gone. In his place, blogger Leo Borges, that still kind of looks like Jerry. The stand-up bits are gone and replaced with soliloquies of Leo's thoughts as he posts to his blog, Borges Boredom Board. In October, a Twitter user posted that the show's characters don't even say anything anymore, just stand still in complete silence. That poster followed up with another tweet about a strange orange man that stalks the apartment, disappearing and reappearing at random. On October 30th, media reporter Jason Kobler shared a video of 2 characters, Leo and Nick Sterling, walking into each other in front of a closed refrigerator on a loop for 5 days. In the past, the show discussed eating fruit or cooking eggs, frivolous stuff. Now, the characters go on long tangents about the nature of existence, if a refrigerator has consciousness, how they're trapped in a simulation, and of course, aliens. Too bad. The original idea was kind of fun. Comedy Dynamics is producing a new comedy special from Paul Reiser. He'll tape it at the Newman Center in Denver on November 17th. Paul is also returning as Detective Jeffrey Friedman in Netflix's Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley. It'd be good to see Paul Reiser back on stage. I've talked to him a few times. Good guy. Brad Garrett shares with Deadline that he's not happy that his name was being used to promote a comedy show starring the Real Housewives of New Jersey personality Joe Gorga. Deadline writes, it turns out everything was a scam and no show was taking place. A representative for Gorga tells Deadline it was coming from a fake Brad Garrett. Joe's attorney was scammed. They even had signed contracts in place. Gorga's reps said that Gorga is disappointed and he was looking forward to performing in Vegas. Garrett was on Instagram and wrote, "Alert! This is not an actual show at my club, and people are being scammed to buy tickets via a fake link." So Joey Gorga and someone else named Jackin, it looks like. WTF? No one knows who you folks are in the comedy world, nor are you working at my club. Remove these ads immediately. Jeez. And Catch New Jersey has nothing to do with this as well. Let's see if we can decipher what's happening at the 312 Comedy Festival in Chicago today. As I've mentioned in most episodes recently, the 312 Comedy Festival, they might be good at comedy festivals. They're terrible at calendar technology. You can only search by alphabetical order. So today being November 2nd, I have to scroll through and see if I see the words November and 2 next to each other. Here's one at the Vic Theater, Dusty Slay. Dusty is amazing. If you have not checked out Dusty's bit about It's 5 o'clock somewhere, stop listening to this podcast and go find it on the internet. It's fantastic. Hannibal Buress at the Chicago Theater, also a good show. All right, I'm going to click and see, could we make it to both? Why do you have to click, Johnny Mac? Aren't the times on the page that's sorted by alphabetical order? Of course not. All right, Dusty Slay's at 7. Scroll down, click. This is really terrible, this website. You've heard me do this festival thing before. Hannibal's at 7:30. Ooh, that's a tough choice there. I would go see Dusty Slay right now over Hannibal. And I don't say that lightly. Chad Daniels at the Chicago Improv. Roast Battle Chicago at Zanies. And a couple minor things. Not bad, but go see Dusty Slay if you're in town. I noticed Theo Von's podcast is in the top 20 on the overall charts. Theo quietly becoming a comedy powerhouse. I was listening to an episode of his recently with a politician. It is not a politician that I support, but I found the interview very compelling and very easy on the airs. Theo Von's podcast is pretty good. Heads up if you're in Spokane and you've got tickets to see Colin Jost tonight. The show has been canceled and rescheduled for June 20th. According to the Fox Theater, all previously purchased tickets for the Thursday performance will be honored at the new date. No reason given why. A quick Google search for Colin Jost doesn't turn up any news. D.L. Hughley remembered Matthew Perry's generosity of spirit. This from the New York Post. They were co-stars on Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which is a pretty good show you should check out. That show deserved a lot better. It was kind of like, what if The West Wing were Saturday Night Live? 30 Rock came out at the same time and kind of stole this show's thunder, but I liked that show a lot. I believe it's streaming on, I want to say Paramount Plus. Why don't you just tell them, John? Look it up. No, it's not streaming anywhere right now. I looked this up the other day and it was. You can rent or purchase it on Amazon. That's a shame that that's not streaming. Hughley said, I was on the road when Perry died and I instantly flashed back to Studio 60. And he tells a story from way back. It was a very late Friday night. My son had turned 18, so I was going to take him out. We were going to hang out all night, but we were running over in the shooting schedule and we got behind. And Matthew let me leave. He did something I would never do. He switched the order of things so I could leave early and be with my son. I didn't ask him, but he found out about it and he did it. And he had to shoot scenes at like 2 and 3 in the morning. So when I heard he died, I flashed back to that moment. I forgot all week to talk about South Park joining the Panderverse. Have you watched this yet? I have to add this on the top things of the year. No, it's not a stand-up special. Let me pull up my list here. This could be number 1, which right now is Todd Barry, and the number 2 stand-up special is Shane Gillis. But between those, I have Kunk on Earth, which really gave me the giggles. I'm going to put Panderverse right below Kunk on Earth. So are you hearing me? Of all the specials that came out this year, I like Into the Panderverse South Park episode better than everything but Todd Barry. High praise. The Hollywood Reporter explains in the 47-minute special Joining the Panderverse, you'll find it on Paramount Plus, Cartman begins to fear that he's being replaced by a diverse woman. The episode comments heavily on some of the creative decisions made by Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Marvel. The story shifts to a meeting of Disney executives where CEO Bob Iger is irate. An executive tells Bob Iger, "We don't understand it, sir. We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, and suddenly it's not working." Iger replies, "Then we've got to pander harder." Gina Carano, who starred on The Mandalorian and then got pushed out of that show after she made some controversial online statements, she chimed in and said, "This is the part where Kathleen Kennedy, who runs Lucasfilm, demands any YouTubers get censored off of YouTube for sharing and laughing at this hilarious episode. She'll have YouTube disable the thumbs down option because of the ratio she'll receive. Then she'll have her publicist ghouls make sure Variety and The Hollywood Reporter run hit pieces about the South Park creators and their families, smearing their names through every useful idiot she has under her thumb who would sell their soul to work for Lucasfilm. She'll activate her online mob to repeat that the South Park creators are racist, bigot, transphobes, and demand that the South Park creators publicly apologize by using only words she approves of. And finally, she'll demand that they subject themselves to a re-education course of 45 people in the LGBTQ community Zoom call to sit there and listen of how badly they got their feelings hurt over a little boop of a South Park episode." Wow! Anyway, into the Panderverse. If you have not enjoyed all the recent Star Wars and some of the more recent Marvel movies, and you're wondering what's going on, watch Into the Panderverse. It is very entertaining. John Glazer has an album out today. It's called Soothing Meditations for the Solitary Dog. The ideal companion for those unfortunate yet unavoidable times that dog owners must leave their beloved pets at home all alone. The album has been designed to help soften those unsettling times. Checking in at a Grammy submission required minimum 30 minutes of peaceful tranquility, John Glazer's Smoothing Meditations for the Solitary Dog is the perfect remedy for any dog owner that cares about the mental well-being of their sweet, precious angel. There's an album release and party in Brooklyn tonight. Eugene Merman, Joe Firestone, and some others planning on going. It's at the Bell House in Brooklyn. Sounds fun. And if you're at Cornell tonight, it's the Climate Change Comedy Hour. Environmental historian Aaron Sachs will use a combination of gallows humor, history, and silly videos to show how we can shift our attitude about climate change. Sachs says climate activists known for spouting doom and gloom have almost never tried to use humor in their messaging. At this point, it's probably too late, but we could at least try to prevent the oil companies from having the last laugh. Cornell, the Lewis Auditorium in Goldwyn Smith Hall. You know the building. 5:15. The event is free. The public's invited. And I think we're almost at the end of the list of the Vulture 25 comedians you should know. There might be one or two left out of alphabetical order where I bumped it and moved it to the end of the list, but we're up to Sophie Zucker. So these are the comedians whose last names begin with at least ZU. There shouldn't be too many, unless there's like Steve Ziziva coming up. Sophie says, "I've learned that I like to treat the audience like I'm already kind of annoyed with them. My onstage persona, which is just an exaggerated version of myself, took me a long time to figure out. And I think this sort of antagonistic presence was one of the final pieces. Having the point of view of, you guys should already know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you're dumb." Sophie says, "I'm bored of ironic comedy. I'm bored of comedy that's supposed to be funny because it sounds like bad comedy. Don't make fun of telling a joke. Tell a joke. I know it's harder, but I think you can do it." And that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on various podcast apps. If you hate back catalog episodes, Apple Podcasts is the one for you. They're only going to give you the newest one. But say you wanted to catch up on all the episodes you haven't listened to of Daily Comedy News recently. You could pick some other apps. Pocket Cast is the one I use. When I open it up, they go, "Hey, here's all the episodes that you haven't listened to yet." That's kind of nice. You could do that. Pocket Cast, Overcast, Spotify. See you tomorrow.